Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Tom over here at the Renegade Racing channel. So, has your steering wheel controls stopped working, your horn stopped working, or all of that good nature, man? It's really kind of frustrating you. You'd like to set your cruise control or radio functions and all that stuff. Well, today I'm going to show you how to fix that and remedy that situation. So, usually 9 times out of 10, whenever that's an issue, you have a clock spring inside the steering wheel, and that's what goes out. So the clock spring, I'm going to show you. I've got one sitting here in the truck right now. I've already started kind of taking this one apart, but I've kind of reassembled it, and I was like, well, I should make a video on this. But so we can come apart with it rather fairly quickly. So what's going on is you got what's called a clock spring, and it's got tabs on it, and it can rotate. All right, because if you've got wiring and you're turning the steering wheel, it's just going to destroy it. All right, so this clock spring has a band in it, and it allows the contacts to spin. All right, so that way you can operate all your steering wheel controls and stuff of that nature. And when they go out, they just get bad, and you got to replace them. And it's not that hard. All right, so let's get right to it. This right here is a brand new clock spring. Now, the vehicle that we're working on is a Ford, and they're all basically the same, depending on what model you got and all that stuff. There's no real difference in them. They all kind of look the same and operate the same. You see this big tab in here. You do not want to pull this tab until it's actually mounted into the steering wheel, and then everything's ready to go back together. Because if you pull this tab right now, it releases the spring, and then it'll never work. You just destroyed a brand new one. So FYI, do not pull this tab. Watch this video completely, and you'll see when I pull the tab and it's set and ready to go. So this keeps it locked in place for installation. It's very, very difficult. There is a way that you can get these off and by relocking the tab in, but 9 times out of 10 it's not going to happen, and it's just going to come apart anyway. So the fix for these is buying a new one. So we're going to set that to the side right now. First off, you got your horn button, and I've already got this one removed, but you got your horn button and or airbag button, and you got to get this thing off. So whenever you're rotating the steering wheel, and I've already got the steering wheel removed, so I'm just going to take it off and kind of show you, but the steering wheel will be on there. All right, so first off, you're going to want to remove the upper and the lower housing. Now, in this particular model right here, there was 3 little bolts in the bottom of it, as you see right here. All right, I took those 3 bolts out, and the top was able to come right off of it, and then I was able to pull this bottom part completely out. So when you rotate the steering wheel, you're going to see on the back side of it that there's these 3 little tabs. All right, and what I used was a pick. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and set this thing back in here. It's got these little clips on it, as you see right here. All right, and they fit over these little tabs right in here. All right, and all I did was just take this pick and I stuck it behind the steering wheel, and I just pulled the tab off. All right, and then the horn button popped right out. Now this is, it's just a gutless horn button. It does not have an airbag in it. This is on a bigger JH model F550, U-Haul that I'm working on right now. But it just pops right out. So once I popped it out, then I had a couple wiring harnesses right here. One plugged into the actual clock spring itself, and then the other piece was for the horn button. It plugged into the horn. All right, so I unplugged both of those, and then I had a bolt right here that was in the center of this. All right, and that's what holds your steering wheel on. So I took that bolt out, and then I didn't use a steering wheel puller. Sometimes, depending on how rusted these things are, you might have to. All right, but I just wiggled this thing with my hands once I got the bolt out of it, and just wiggled back and forth, and then voila, it popped off. So you can go ahead and set your steering wheel out of the way. All right, and then this is where I haven't started. You've got 4 little bolts right here. All right, and we're going to pull these things out. All right, and they're fairly easy to pull out. Let's go ahead and get those out. And this old one, it really doesn't matter. Like I said, there's no clip in it to hold it or anything of that nature. We're just going to take everything out, and you can see where the old hold clip used to be right there. And that's where they install it from the factory and all that good jazz. All right. But as you can see, this thing is just, it's shot. So that's why we can't operate our steering wheel controls anymore. There's not really a fuse for this thing. Once the contacts go out in it, it's just, you know that like 99%, if your steering wheel controls stop working and you don't have a horn button, it's going to be your ClockSpring. So there's not a whole lot of diagnosing on that to be done. We got a little harness right here. We're going to unplug it, and then that thing pops right out. You see it plugs in right here, and then you got your steering wheel contact that spins on it. All right, so everything's kind of plug and play. We got that thing out of there. That's the old one. We just set it to the side. All right, and then we got our new one. Now we're going to go ahead and install it. Let's just make sure we kind of do that right. I'm upside down. All right, got that in there right there. And as you can see on this one, there's some little dowel pins right here. All right, and this thing is going to set over them dowel pins. That way it lines the bolt holes up really good. All right, missed that one right there. All right, so we got that taken care of right there. Now we're just going to reassemble it just as it came apart. So let's go ahead and put our screws in. All right, I'll go ahead and tighten these top two up just a little bit. Like I said, this is a fairly easy job and doesn't take a whole lot of skill level to do this thing, man. So as far as DIY, and like I said, every model, depending on, you know, Chevrolet, Ford, and all that stuff, they might look a little different, but it's all the same thing. You're gonna have the same pull tab right here, and everything. You're basically doing the same thing. So I'm going to put this up on the YouTube channel as for any vehicle out there. So like I said, very, very easy. Not a whole lot of work that's involved in this thing, putting it together. Now, as you see, if you see that little white thing right here, all right, that's for your turn signal switch. You know, as you turn the steering wheel, there's a little knob in that thing that clicks it and allows it to turn back. So let's make sure that's good in place. I'm gonna plug that in and all that good jazz. All right, so everything's good on this thing now. We are ready to put this thing together. So our next thing that we're gonna do is you wanna put the steering wheel on before you pull your tab out. Now you see these two little pieces right here, they're gonna lock inside the steering wheel, all right, right there. So that's gonna keep this thing centered, all right? Do not pull this tab out until the steering wheel is on, all right? I just wanna reiterate that, because if you do, you're gonna have a big problem, all right? And you're gonna have to do this thing all over again and get you another one. So we're gonna go ahead and lock this steering wheel back down. Just like that. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this bolt up. Hold on. All right, we got a steering wheel bolt tightened back up. Everything's good to go. And as you can see, if I rotate the steering wheel a little bit, it hits against this. I haven't plugged anything in yet because I'm waiting to go ahead and pull this thing. So now that we got the bolt tightened, your two alignment studs are in there. The ClockSpring isn't gonna turn, so we can go ahead and pull this. And it just pulls directly out just like that. All is good. We can go ahead and plug our harness back in, and now you can see on the back side with those alignment studs that it turns with the steering wheel. All right, so now we can go ahead and hook everything back up. So I'm going to set this down for just a second. Maybe I can stick it right here so you can see, but I'm going to go ahead and plug my steering wheel back up. This is for your horn button and or airbag. Now you see everything works now. So one thing that I do want to be mindful of, if this thing has an airbag in it, it would be a good idea to disconnect the thing. And even though it's blowing the horn, I need to push hardly on this thing. And when I do, it's going to pop them little springs back in. Just like that. So that's ready to go. And then I'm just going to put my housing back on, lower housing back on, and we are ready to rock. Thanks for watching. And I hope this helps you with your ClockSpring operation. And make sure you like and subscribe to the channel.